Ladies and gentlemen, let me start with something uncomfortable but honest. Talent is not the thing holding most of you back. It's a great excuse, though. We love saying, "I'm not talented enough," because it protects us from the real truth. We're not consistent enough. We live in a world obsessed with highlights, overnight success, viral moments, genius stories. But nobody wants to talk about the boring stuff, the reps, the late nights, the days when nothing is working and nobody is watching. That's where winners are actually made. Here's the reality: talent might open the door, but consistency is what keeps you in the room. I've seen incredibly talented people burn out, quit, or get distracted. And I've seen average people, no special skills, no unfair advantages, absolutely dominate because they showed up every single day. Not when they felt like it, not when it was exciting. Every day. Consistency is unsexy. It doesn't give you instant validation. It doesn't get applause in the beginning, but it compounds day after day, week after week, year after year. And suddenly people call you lucky or gifted without seeing the thousands of invisible days you put in. Talent grabs attention quickly, but attention doesn't equal success. In the beginning, talent can make things look easy. A talented person might learn faster, perform better early on, or get praise without much effort. That early validation feels powerful, and for a moment it can create the illusion that talent alone is enough. But real results don't come from how impressive you look at the start. They come from what you produce over time. And that's where talent usually starts to lose its power. Consistency is what turns potential into progress. Showing up every day, even when the excitement fades, is what creates momentum. Results are not built in a single breakthrough moment. They are built through repetition. Each small action may feel insignificant, but when repeated daily, it compounds. Talent might help you sprint at the beginning, but consistency is what allows you to finish the race. Without it, even the most gifted individuals eventually stall. The problem with relying on talent is that it often creates comfort. When things come easily, there is less urgency to work hard, to improve, or to build discipline. Once challenges appear, and they always do, talent alone isn't enough to push through resistance, failure, or boredom. Consistency, on the other hand, builds resilience. It teaches patience, humility, and the ability to keep moving forward when results are invisible. Real results demand time. Businesses don't grow overnight. Skills don't mature in weeks. Trust isn't built instantly. Consistency respects the long game. It accepts that progress is slow and often silent. While talent waits for the perfect moment, consistency creates results by taking imperfect action again and again. That steady effort eventually outperforms raw ability that lacks commitment. What makes consistency powerful is that it is controllable. You cannot control how talented you are compared to others, but you can control your effort, your habits, and your willingness to show up. When you commit to consistency, you remove excuses and focus on execution. Over time, the gap between someone who is talented but inconsistent and someone who is consistent but average becomes obvious. The consistent person builds skill, confidence, and credibility, while the talented person remains stuck on potential. In the long run, results don't care about how gifted you were at the start. They reflect how often you showed up, how long you stayed committed, and how willing you were to keep going when the process stopped being exciting. Winning rarely looks exciting while it's happening. From the outside, success appears glamorous, but the reality behind it is repetitive, predictable, and often boring. The actions that lead to real wins are not dramatic breakthroughs. They are small, ordinary tasks done again and again. The same practice, the same effort, the same discipline, day after day. Most people don't fail because they can't do hard things. They fail because they can't tolerate doing the same simple things consistently. Repetition is where mastery lies. Every time you repeat an action, you remove a little friction and gain a little clarity. What once felt difficult becomes natural. What once required effort becomes habit. This is how skill is built, not through talent spikes, but through thousands of quiet reps. Each repetition strengthens confidence and sharpens execution, even when it feels like nothing is changing. The reason people avoid repetition is because it doesn't give instant rewards. There's no applause for showing up again. No excitement in doing what you did yesterday. But repetition compounds in ways motivation never can. Small improvements stack on top of each other, and over time, that steady accumulation turns average effort into extraordinary results. Boredom is part of the process. The people who win are not necessarily more passionate or more inspired. They are simply more willing to stay in the routine when others chase novelty. They understand that consistency in action creates clarity and direction. While others are constantly switching strategies, starting over, or looking for shortcuts, they are quietly improving through repetition. Repetition also builds trust, both with yourself and with others. When you repeatedly keep promises to yourself, discipline becomes part of your identity. You stop negotiating with your feelings and start relying on systems. Externally, people begin to trust your work because it becomes predictable. Predictability, when paired with quality, creates credibility. What looks boring in the moment becomes impressive in hindsight. People celebrate the outcome without seeing the thousands of identical days that produced it. Winning doesn't come from doing something extraordinary once. It comes from doing something ordinary so consistently that it becomes extraordinary over time. The uncomfortable truth is that repetition filters people out. Most will quit not because the work is impossible, but because it's monotonous. Those who embrace that monotony, who respect the grind of repetition, separate themselves naturally. In the end, winning is less about excitement and more about endurance. Staying committed to the same disciplined actions long enough for the results to catch up. Failure is not what stops most people, impatience does. Many start with energy, excitement, and big expectations, believing results should come quickly if they are doing the right things. When progress feels slow or invisible, doubt creeps in. They begin to question the process, their ability, or the goal itself. This is the moment where most people quit, not because they are incapable, but because they underestimate how long real progress takes. Consistency often works in silence. In the early stages, effort and results are not balanced. You put in work every day, yet nothing seems to change. No recognition, no growth you can clearly point to. This gap between effort and visible reward is where people lose patience. They expect linear progress, but improvement is uneven and delayed. The payoff usually arrives much later than expected. After most people have already given up, quitting early feels logical in the moment. People convince themselves they are being realistic or moving on to something better. In reality, they are walking away just before consistency begins to compound. Progress is often exponential, not gradual. The hardest part is staying committed long enough to reach the point where effort starts multiplying instead of just accumulating. Another reason people quit early is comparison. They look at others who seem further ahead and assume they are behind or not good enough. What they don't see is how long those people have been showing up or how many failed attempts came before visible success. Comparison accelerates quitting because it steals focus from the only thing that actually matters, continuing the work. Consistency demands emotional maturity. It requires accepting boredom, uncertainty, and slow feedback. Many people confuse lack of immediate results with lack of potential. They mistake silence for failure. But silence is often just the process working quietly. The people who win understand that showing up during this phase is the real test. Those who push through this stage develop an unfair advantage. While others drop out, their consistency keeps stacking. Skills sharpen, confidence grows, systems improve, momentum builds almost unnoticed. By the time results become obvious, they are already far ahead simply because they stayed when others left. Most success stories look inevitable in hindsight, but they were fragile in the beginning. They depended on someone refusing to quit when quitting would have been the easiest choice. Consistency only pays off for those who stay long enough to collect its rewards. Passion is exciting, but it's unreliable. It comes and goes depending on mood, energy, and circumstances. On days when things feel good, passion shows up easily. On hard days, it disappears without warning. Building anything meaningful on passion alone is risky because passion doesn't show up consistently. Process, however, doesn't depend on feelings. It operates whether you're inspired or not. And that's what makes it powerful. Focusing on the process means committing to the daily actions rather than obsessing over the outcome. Outcomes are distant and often outside your control, but the process is immediate and controllable. When you build systems, clear routines, schedules, and habits, you reduce the need for motivation. You stop asking yourself whether you feel like doing the work and start doing it because it's simply what you do. Discipline is often misunderstood as punishment or restriction, but in reality, it's freedom. Discipline removes decision fatigue, it creates structure, and structure creates momentum. When discipline is in place, progress continues even during emotional lows. This is why disciplined people outperform highly motivated people in the long run. Motivation reacts to emotions, discipline ignores them. Process also protects you from burnout. When people rely on passion, they tend to overwork when they feel inspired and completely stop when they don't. This creates inconsistency and exhaustion. A strong process encourages sustainable effort. It sets realistic daily standards that can be maintained over time, even when enthusiasm fades. Another advantage of prioritizing process is clarity. When you trust the system, you don't panic during slow periods. You understand that results are a byproduct of repeated actions, not emotional highs. Discipline keeps you grounded when doubt appears. It replaces chaos with order and replaces guesswork with consistency. The truth is that passion often follows progress, not the other way around. As you get better, see improvement, and build confidence, passion grows naturally. Waiting to feel passionate before acting delays progress. Acting with discipline creates momentum, and momentum fuels passion. Those who win are not always the most excited or emotionally invested at the start. They are the ones who respect structure, honor their commitments, and stay loyal to the process even when it feels dull or difficult. Over time, discipline turns effort into identity, and the process quietly produces results that motivation alone could never sustain. Short-term hype is loud, fast, and emotionally addictive. It promises quick results, instant recognition, and rapid success. It thrives on trends, shortcuts, and temporary excitement. Long-term commitment, on the other hand, is quiet. It doesn't rush. It doesn't need constant validation. It focuses on durability rather than speed, and that difference determines who actually wins. Chasing short-term wins often leads to inconsistent behavior. People jump from one idea to another, one strategy to the next, always looking for the fastest payoff. When something stops delivering immediate results, they abandon it. This constant restarting prevents depth. Skills remain shallow, progress resets, and momentum never has time to build. What looks like movement is often just motion without direction. Long-term commitment allows compounding to work. Time is the multiplier most people underestimate. When you stay committed to one direction, even small daily improvements accumulate into massive advantages. Experience deepens, judgment sharpens, and confidence grows naturally. These benefits cannot be rushed. They require patience and the willingness to stay when excitement fades. Hype also creates unrealistic expectations. It convinces people that success should be fast and dramatic. When reality doesn't match that expectation, disappointment follows. Long-term thinkers understand that slow progress is not failure. It's normal. They don't measure success by immediate outcomes, but by whether they are still improving and still in the game. Commitment builds credibility. When you stay with something for years, people begin to trust your work, your message, and your character. That trust opens doors that hype never can. Trends come and go, but reputation is built through time and consistency. Long-term players benefit from this even when they are not actively seeking attention. Choosing the long term also strengthens resilience. You stop reacting emotionally to every setback or fluctuation. Instead of asking, is this working right now? You ask, is this worth doing for the next 5 or 10 years? That mindset changes decisions. It filters out distractions and aligns effort with purpose. In the end, short-term hype burns fast and fades just as quickly. Long-term commitment endures. It rewards patience, consistency, and belief in the process. Those who stay focused on the long game don't just win once, they build something that lasts. Talent may start the journey, but it never finishes it. Consistency, discipline, and long-term commitment are what turn effort into results. When you stop chasing hype, embrace repetition, trust the process, and stay in the game longer than most, success becomes inevitable. The real advantage isn't being gifted, it's showing up every day until the work speaks for itself. Thank you.